Who is mostly your audience?
Great question.
Whoever's there, right?
Yeah, so um, in general, I go after healthcare practitioners. And I think that what's interesting is that my avatar to begin with, Jenna, was to begin with within Men of Iron, as I've kind of taken some of that stuff over for Dr. Ed. It was chiropractors in particular. But what I've noticed, I just did a huge testimonial for the webinar that we're doing on July 3rd, and I help more women than I do men. And you see this over top of my shoulder thing here, this Men of Iron thing. It's
Yeah.
definitely grown beyond that, and that's why I call it business parents. So typically, and you and I can have a much more in-depth discussion about this, is that we help the people that are coming along the path that we've already tread. And so when you ask about what your avatar client is and the person that you help the most, ultimately you're just describing yourself. So as a business parent, that's pretty much who I am.
Totally. Love it.
So does that help to answer that? So
Yes.
most of the people that I'm finding that are following this, I sometimes worry, again, this is my own stuff. I used to worry that I would push people away because it's a very masculine entity, which is why I've softened it with the freedom formula. Because the whole Men of Iron movement was to get men to rise out of their lonely places where they were hiding and sedating with drugs and alcohol and everything else, not really fulfilling themselves. And now what I've come to recognize is that there's so many more of us like you and me that have hit that place where we're just questioning what in God's country are we even doing here. So that being said, let's turn the table a little bit. Thank you for the initial interview question of myself. I want to say first and foremost, for those of you that are starting to come on and watch this, welcome and thank you to Dr. Jenna Zellars, who I have been admiring and following for some time now. And again, I hope that in this conversation, Doc, that people will have a better understanding of why you and I are having this conversation. Because like I said in the preamble, you and I have not the same, but a very similar path and metamorphosis to where it is that we're going and why it is that we are in a place that we are in our life, helping the people that we are. And you asked a very pertinent question about like who's listening to this, and my answer to that, of course, is business parents that are in that midlife triangle of chaos, is what I call it, where there's kids, there's relationships, there's business, and there's this little thing inside of us called a soul that's wanting so badly to be able to bring fire to the world in a light that only our soul knows. And that's the tribe that I'm going after. And that's, so when I talk about the freedom formula, everyone's like, well, what's the freedom formula? Well, essentially it's clarity to your vision, clarity to your values, traction in the direction, and then freedom that comes from the persistent implementation of that. So let's do you for a second. Let's talk about your background. So before we get into what it is that you're doing right now, Doc, as far as helping your community and the community at large, would you feel comfortable with sharing kind of what's your background? What brought you to this place that you sit currently?
Love it. Thank you so much. So my background is super easy. It was like very straightforward. I knew since the age of 6 that I wanted to be a chiropractor. And so I followed that path for many, many, many years. I was just kind of bullseye focus on becoming a chiropractor, becoming the best chiropractor, building my successful office. And I just did it. I made my dreams come true. And at 31 years old, I had built my thriving practice. I mean, I used to say, like, I have my dream practice and every day it gets better. And then one time, like 1 year, it started going in the opposite direction. I started shifting things. I wasn't happy anymore. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was on the hamster wheel. I was, seeing patients 40 hours a week, running my office another 20 hours a week. Like, my husband used to beg me, like, can you just be? Can you just, like, relax? Can you just be? I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to do it. Like, my mind was always on my chiropractic office, and I was never fulfilled, like, ever fulfilled. I was just like, okay, I have to keep going. I have to keep going. And at 31 years old, I was standing in the middle of my office, and I looked around, and suddenly I wanted to tear it all down. Like, what I had built, it wasn't what I wanted. I was just, and I couldn't explain it. I didn't know why. All I knew is that I felt like a fraud. I had built this amazing life and business, and I felt like a fraud. And I didn't know what it meant to be authentic. I didn't know what it meant to be happy. I didn't know how to just be. I didn't know, and I thought chiropractic was my purpose. Like, I thought that being a successful chiropractor was my purpose, and it may have been for a period of time. But I had a lot of shame also when in the chiropractic world at this time for me, all I saw were my chiropractic peers showing off their successful office. Like, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And so now that I had kind of stepped away from, I don't think this makes me happy, I then had a lot of shame. Like, oh, why don't I want to do this? Like, what's going on? I worried about what my peers thought. I worried about what my patients thought. But I knew that I had to go searching for something else. I always knew that I was supposed to be happy. I always knew that you could build whatever life and business you wanted, and it should be fulfilling. And so when I wasn't fulfilled, I was like, okay, like, I know that there's something else out there. I know that I know that there's a path that I need to, like, find, right?
The be and the do wasn't leading to the have that your soul was searching for.
No, and I didn't know that at that time, and I know now, and it's so much what I love to teach, is that there is a soul inside of you, and that soul came here to do a certain thing. And what happens is, on an earthly, physical, mental level, we get conditioned to be and do and have a certain life. And so what I have figured out in the last 5 years is, wow, that way that I was living and doing and being and having was very much conditioned. What should I do? How could I be successful? If I do this, then people will like me. My whole life was about achieving the next thing, and, like, the letters behind my name. And then, okay, that wasn't enough. I need to go do this and this. And it was about, like, achieving material things, but your material achievements are not connected to the soul, what the soul is here to do. And that was a huge learning experience. So my background over the last 5 years has been reconditioning myself, shedding the old stories, and growing into discovering who my soul is, what she is here to do, how amazing she is, and showing up in a way that I can be aligned with that soul calling.
Awesome. And maybe share so that the people that are listening to this can resonate further. What were some of I know that you talked about you were standing in your office and then you just realized one day, you said that you felt like a fraud from the inside, okay? So there was a disconnection from your soul, the cravings inside of your soul. But maybe can you share some of what were your observations? What were you hearing? What were you feeling? What were the signs that that you were going back inside of this cocoon to transform into the different direction that you're going. Because I think this is huge, because it's these signs that many people hear, but like a lot of chiropractic patients, before they learn about chiropractic, they sedate it with medications and chemicals, and they shut their brain off to these things. Are you able to share what some of those signs were for you?
Totally. Yeah. Looking back, I didn't know at the time, that moment I was standing in my office and realized everything I had created, and I felt like a fraud, and I didn't know what it meant to be. Like that one moment, so much happened in that time. I know now that that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. Like I woke up, because I woke up to the fact that the life that I had been living doesn't work anymore. I was actually 3 days away from getting on antidepressants myself, because I was so miserable. I had been doing this, and so it was January of 2015 is when I started going downhill, when things didn't start quite working well for me, and I wasn't happy. And every month it got a little worse and a little worse and a little worse. And it was October. I remember, like, for 3 weeks straight, I was really in a bad way. I thought maybe it was my thyroid or my hormones or whatever. And my husband and I talked about, what that would look like. And, but at that point, I wasn't taking action for the things in my life. I was just like, I'm a victim to this. This is happening to me. What else?
Goes in the
Life
past.
sucks. All of those things. And I remember laying in bed in October, and I was miserable. I laid in bed almost all weekend for 3 weekends straight. Dreaded going to work. I mean, I feel so bad saying this now. Like I really dreaded my life.
Do you really feel badly, or
No,
do you, yeah?
no. I love my patients. I love the practice that I built, but it just stopped working for me. And I'm still a chiropractor, and I'll explain that more here in just a minute. But so yeah, I was miserable laying in bed, and on the other side of the house, I heard my husband laughing. And that woke me up to, okay, I'm about to go to the doctors in a couple of days to get on antidepressants, and he's in the kitchen laughing. And it was just this wake up, like, I want to laugh too. And if I
Oh,
get medicine, I'm not going to be laughing. I'm going to be suppressing everything. I'm just going to try to sweep it under the rug, pretend that it's not going on, pretend that I have it all together, keep putting on that smile. And I was just like, no, I can't do it. I need to get to the root cause. I knew that. And so I canceled my doctor's appointment, and I had a talk with my husband that day, and I said, I need to make this change. Like, I knew that a lot of things had to change in my life, but I knew that I had to find the first step. And the first step was totally reinventing my office and how I charged and all of that. And it was a big, scary step, because he was in chiropractic school. I was supporting him. I was supporting our family, putting him through school. And he was in his first year, poor guy. Here I was, having a midlife crisis, not knowing if I wanted to be a chiropractor anymore. He just committed to chiropractic school. So we had a lot of stuff going on.
there's the guilt and the shame right there.
Yeah. And it was like, I can't help it. I can't help it. So I ended up making that change at my office. And then that change just had this domino effect. And it was like, okay, I got to make this change now and this change now. And so for the last 5 years, I've been making one change after the other to completely reinvent my life, my business. And in that process, I have allowed my soul to emerge. And more every single day, I find that I'm finding more alignment, more joy, more fulfillment, more peace, more purpose. All of that keeps happening every single day, because as crazy as these changes might seem on paper, they make sense to my soul, and I'm doing them.
I'm not going to dive into too much of my story, because that's not what this is about today. But when I said to my wife, I feel nothing, I don't feel excitement, I don't feel joy, but I don't feel anger, I don't feel resentment. I just feel nothing. And then I got to a place that was very similar where I was asked if I should consider depression medication. And like you, I mean, I'm not going to use terms, but our energy is high. Like it's big when you see the two of us kind of be in our place. To see that stifled in any way, shape, or form is just it's awful to watch. And unfortunately, I see this and we see this everywhere. Okay, so the transformation then has led to this new environment where that you created more and more alignment. What are you able to share some of those transformations and some of the different changes that you've made such that the environment you're in is more aligned with you? Because I know that there's people out there going, well, like you were saying, what can I change? This is where I'm at. This is the path that I've been given. These are the cards that have been dealt. What are some of the other
It is what it is.
Right. So what are some of the little changes that you can share? And maybe even, I mean, I don't want you to give away the full deck of cards here, Doc, but what are some of the things that you've implemented and that you encourage into others so that they too can kind of take that first step into making those changes? Are you able to kind of open the door on that a little bit?
Yeah, how much time do we have?
Listen, these are the conversations that need to be had, I believe. So, I mean, we can certainly open the Pandora's box as wide as we want, but maybe just some of the biggest eye openers for you and some of the biggest most consistent pieces of advice that you've taken on for yourself so that you can teach authentically, but that have had the biggest impact in not just yourself, but in the others that you're now coaching with.
Yeah, cool. I think it started with asking better questions. Like instead of accepting, like this is how it is, or this is happening to me, I have to just deal with it. I started asking better questions. And one of them was why? Like, why am I like this? And what I realized is that I just like asking better questions and really not accepting things for how they are, but really diving in and trying to get to know who I was and get to the root. What I realized is like as the days went on, I was peeling back the layers of just like, oh, that happened because of this. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, why did that happen? So really went on this journey of peeling back the layers, and it involved a lot of soul searching, discovery, questions, quiet time, journaling, a lot of those things. But here's the thing is, with the information that I was receiving, I didn't just like process it. I took action. I did something with it. Like one of my first discoveries was that I had other gifts than just adjusting spines all day. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew I was
I want you to consider that you knew that it was just inside of you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that was one of the main reasons I was so unhappy is I really felt like a robot all day. I was adjusting all these spines, which is amazing. We need people to be adjusted. We need hands on deck, right? But I knew that it wasn't all that I had available to offer the world. I really have always had this big vision for the world, but I was locked in my four walls of my office. We all learned that from our mentor, Dr. Ed. You're trapped in your four walls, and we have more to offer. And with the internet, we can really get those gifts out there. And one of my gifts, and this actually came in this was really cool. I went to a meditation retreat, and I was kind of like 2015 was the worst year. 2016 was the year I was picking up the pieces, and 2017 was the year that I started taking action. But in 2016, at the end of it, I went to this meditation retreat, and all I was looking for was like the one thing, right? Like, I know that I need to be doing one thing, but I don't know what it is. And I know that if I could figure it out, then everything else would start to roll forward. So This can sound woo-woo. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But we
I
were,
love the woo-woo, by the way.
yeah,
My wife uses the woo-woo on a regular
I
basis.
love it. I'm very woo-woo. I do, yeah, I do incorporate woo-woo into my life and business. And I'm so much better because of it. So I don't care if it's, sounds weird to other people.
You found your own divining rod, my dear. That's good.
Yes. So we had been meditating and then chanting, meditating and then chanting. And each, as the day went on, the sessions got longer. So it went from 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours. And so at the end of the day, we were chanting for almost 2 hours. And, there's something powerful that happens when you meditate, but I had my most powerful experience when I was chanting. And I don't know what we were chanting. It was something in Sanskrit. And something had triggered me earlier in the day. I think it was like about vaccines, and I'm not pro-vaccine, or I am pro-choice, but I'm anti-vax. So something had happened, and I really wanted to speak up about. I saw something on Facebook of how these innocent kids are being vaccinated and something bad happened to them. And I really I felt this urge to say something. And I was like, who is this person? I don't speak up. I don't tell my opinion. I keep quiet and, gosh forbid, share your opinion on Facebook. And so I was very triggered, but I was trying to swallow it. And in a chant, as I was chanting, something woke up in my belly. I literally physically felt this seed open up, and it was this voice, and it said, speak, speak. And then it got louder and more powerful. I was sweating, my palms were shaking, and I just every cell in my body was trembling. And as we were chanting, I felt this voice inside me going, speak, 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 speak. And I was like, well, if I was looking for the one thing, I think I found it. And I knew that I had to use my voice. And so while that was a great gift, it has also been the greatest challenge for me as well, because I know that my voice is here to heal others, and I know that I'm supposed to be speaking, but it's also where I have the greatest blocks that I have to work through. It's where I have the greatest challenges in my relationship. I just did a Facebook Live the other day of how I've actually built this pain in my neck and my throat. I've felt like there's been a vice grip on my neck, and I know these are the chakras, the energy center. So I know it's my throat chakra that has been just blocked. I'm not saying what I really, really want to say. I'm not speaking up to the capacity that I know I'm meant to. So I have to work on that. And I did this Facebook Live of I'm swallowing so much, and your soul is not meant to just suppress things and ignore things. So my journey has been mixing my person, my business, and my spirit into being the person that I know that I've been called to do. And in that process, I've been helping other people who are right behind me.
Awesome. So this is, let me just see if I can encapsulate this. So you followed the dreams that you felt you ultimately should have in your youth. You manifested that to the nth degree, wildly successful. You had you had palpable feelings and triggers and signs that just something wasn't quite right. We would usually call that loco and crazy and whatever else, and midlife triangle of the chaos and midlife crisis. Yeah, there's more of us that are experiencing that or have experienced that. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I feel all this. I feel this dissonance and this disconnection from who I am and what I feel that I'm supposed to. And then the question becomes, well, what the F? What is this all about? Which direction do I go? And listening to one's soul, yeah, it definitely sounds woo-woo when we're talking about the uncertainty or the lack of clarity that comes from, well, which direction do I drive this ship, and which island am I driving it towards? Where are the people that are waiting for me and my special sauce, or my own soul genius, as Dr. Ed likes to call it. And then it becomes this whole new journey of how do I synthesize it all together into something that sings inside of my heart, which sounds like you are now processing. So my question now for you is, you've come through this, you've gone into the cocoon, you've had this metamorphosis, you've come out the other side, you now have a light and a fire, and there's a twinkle in your eye that's completely different than the I'm about ready to sedate this depressed, unfulfilled person, soul, that a little inner child that's inside of you that's wanting to come out. And now you're not just helping patients lead their best, most healthy, most full expression and of life and potential within their health. You're also helping the community at a much bigger level. Do you feel comfortable in sharing kind of what that looks like now? Because now you're having a way bigger impact. And I think that there's others that really need to be able to hear what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. And impact is one of my greatest, highest values. And so when, yes, chiropractic and adjusting spines makes an amazing impact on individual lives that are served. I went through this experience of, at first it was like kind of chasing the shiny object with my business and my coaching business. It was like, oh, I can do this online and make money. So like that was kind of my driving force at the beginning when I started online, and I wasn't getting results because I was chasing the money. And then something interesting happened. There was a shift. It actually happened, post-quarantine, post-COVID. And when my office shut down and, I was just like, whoa, what is happening? And I knew that I had these amazing tools that I wanted to share with other chiropractors and healers. And when the world shut down and we're thinking the world is like, everyone is going to get sick. And now, we need to really like all hands on deck. We need to get to work. I knew that serving in my office wasn't the answer. It was serving other chiropractors and healers who had magic things to share with the world, who had potent resources and information and healing services that people could do at home. And I got quiet. I had nowhere to go and nothing to do. And I just went quiet. And that is when I birthed the idea of rebranding my entire business. It was like a decision I made like that. And I said, the Potent Healer is ready to come out. I had an authentic and thriving Facebook community, and I was teaching everyone how to be authentic and thriving. And while that served its purpose, I knew it was really time for me to step into my own potency and help others do the same. And so I just said, all right, authentic and thriving community, in order for me to be potent, I need to switch directions, and I need to do this, and I need to do it now. And right away, I launched a couple webinars, and some chiropractors and healers came to work with me, and I've been teaching them ever since how to build their own online business. And now there's something else being born. Like, before you build your online business, I need to teach you how to be potent. I need to show you how to I need to support you. I need to create a container where people can come to life, where their potency can be emerged, where their person, business, and spirit can meet, because that is a messy journey to navigate. It took me 5 years to get to this place, and it's not easy to do alone. There's a lot of stuff that comes up. You're like, holy crap, what does this mean? And to have that person on your side to help you work through those things without it taking you 5 years. I mean, I don't know how much money I would have saved over the last 5 years if who I am now was able to coach me then. Just poof, mind blown. So that's what I'm up to. I'm helping chiropractors and healers who know they have a big message and they know they have a big purpose, and they want to utilize and leverage social media. We get together and I give them my best tips and trainings and support. So yeah, it's really fun. I could do that all day long.
That is the fire that I'm talking about, Jenna, is that ultimately I always describe that we are ultimately the lighthouse for that ship that's lost at sea. And that what I now see in you is you can only become potent when there is something that has the ability to be able to expand. So, and if I had to ask you that tuition, if you will, that you have invested over the last 5+ years, would you do it again?
Yeah. Yeah. It was worth every penny. And it's, yeah, I every time I invest in myself, it's always worth it, whether it makes sense or doesn't. Whether it gets me further on track or further off track, it's still a valuable lesson. Very valuable.
That right there. I think that there's a lot of people outside that have similar stories. I heard a number of different stories that you have told yourself about how you had guilt and shame, how you shouldn't take yourself off of the course that you're on, that you are the provider. How dare you go after, how selfish of you to go chase after your own ambitions and the soul that's inside of you. All these different things that all the different stories that we become addicted to, that raise fear inside of us, that prevent us from going after those things. And one of the other things, if I can share, that I heard that I want people to consider, if any of this is resonating with them, is it does not have to be losing your day job and crucifying yourself. It can be done one step, one breath at a time. But the clearer that I want people to consider, the clearer you are, clearer one is with their values and their mission and what serves them, the easier it is for you to get traction, because there's less resistance for you doing the work, so that you can bring that greater impact to your community. And I think that is ultimately what I see in you, Doc, is just you hit the nail on the head. And I'm so glad that you are thriving at the level that you are, because the number of people that just accept the sedation patterns of, whether it's drugs and alcohol on their own, or the medical community imposing the drugs for anxiety and depression, etc. Now, and not to say that there may be a time for people to step into that, but the number of people that are doing that unnecessarily when there's a fire that's burning inside of them, it's pretty hard to watch.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
last question. Is there any other nuggets that you would suggest right now? And is there a place nuggets, any other nuggets, and where I'm listening to this, I'm resonating with you, Doc, where can I find you and how do I get involved with you?
Thank you so much. So for the nuggets, I mean, there are so many nuggets. I would say when you get a download, when you get an idea of like, I see myself doing this, or like, I want to do this, or you get that vision of, I want to, that step you have to take that creates a lot of a major change and has a domino effect. When you get that like first premonition or download that you see yourself doing that, follow that. Do that. Don't say, oh, now's not a time. I'm not good enough. This isn't for me. Oh, what would people think? That's crazy. That seed was planted in you for a very good reason. And, there have been many seeds on my journey that what I learn now is the more I step into that and question and discover what that is, and then I take action to follow that, my life changes way faster. I get more joy, more purpose, more money, whatever, like more alignment. Those little downloads are there to align you with your soul's mission.
We call it the voice.
The voice.
When the voice speaks, listen, find a way to listen. And meditation, like you suggested, is one of the ways that I am able to hear float tanks, times where you can quiet the mind and just listen. For men, it's not the easiest thing, just so you know.
For women either. I mean, we just want to talk and we have the spaghetti brain, 60,000 thoughts in our brain. But meditation, time in nature, sometimes even just like I'll just journal or talk in my phone. So yes, listen to the voice. That will help you be more potent. And then you can find me in a couple places. I don't have like a huge social media, but I'm working on it. On Instagram, I am the Potent Healer. On Facebook, I have a group called the Potent and Profitable Collective for Kairos healers and coaches. No, that's long. If you search the Potent Healer, you can find it. And then I'm just Jenna Zellars on Facebook. Come and friend me and get to know me. Message me if this was helpful. And I offer free discovery calls for anyone who resonates with this message and wants to take it to the next level.
Awesome. And I'm going to say one last thing. So oftentimes when I am creating my message, you asked a great question to begin with, is like, who are my followers? Who's my tribe? Who am I trying to reach? And every once in a while, I have a voice, and I've had counselors in my corner suggest that I shouldn't be necessarily inviting topics and discussions with people that are in a similar space of mine. And I'm the exact opposite. My feeling is that these are the discussions that need to be had. And there are people that are going to resonate with my energy, and there's going to be people that are going to resonate with your energy. And as a result, this is why I'm so glad and appreciative to have you on this show today, because there are just people that need to find their own way, and their soul and their voice is going to have that guiding light. So last but not least, just thank you so much, Doc, for following what's inside of you. And yes, it sounds woo-woo. I can't believe how many years ago I sat there and I had the exact same, I'll use my masculine tone, the exact same shitstorm in my brain going, you're completely off course. You need to change directions. And there's no way, when you feel that, there's no way that you can even articulate that. But I'm so proud of you for stepping up and to guide the way that you are right now. The alignment and the connection is fantastic. And again, massive thumbs up and thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful weekend. And hopefully there's some Father's Day activities that are going on this weekend.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Doc, thank you. Appreciate you much. Bye for now. All right.